So, hi everyone, this is Arpita. I work as a senior developer in the artist team. So, today my first topic of discussion will be about custom capsule constructor. So, it will just be a preview of the upcoming support for this custom capsule constructor. Just a note that it will be available from the next sprint release of October 2021.40. So custom capsule constructor, it came into picture because at the time of capsule instance construction, there was no way to pass any information except the one provided by our standard capsule constructor. So a standard capsule constructor has only these two parameters, RTG, RTS, which is of type RT controller, and RTG ref, which is of type RT actor ref. So to pass any other information, we had to pass a data object in the initial transition of the state machine. And that was also restricted for only optional capsule parts. But this custom capsule constructor is available for both fixed and optional capsule part. We can add as many number of user-defined parameters on this on this custom capsule constructor. So this feature actually makes us possible to pass the initialization data to a capsule instance, which is already created and it can be used there. So coming to the Eclipse instance, I will just show how we can add this custom capsule constructor. So we have basically this new context menu option. So if I right click on the capsule, add UML special operation, we have the context menu option called constructor. So using this, you can create first the template that you will see is just like a default capsule constructor. You can then add parameters by just simply adding add UML parameter to your custom constructor. So as you see here in this particular example, we have a constructor A, capsule constructor basically, and it has a parameter P of type unsigned int, and it is created by the user. So it's like just a custom parameter in our custom capsule constructor. So coming to the next concept, which is about capsule factory. So the capsule factory was introduced to allow the incarnation of capsules with the custom constructor. It actually helps to specify how capsule instance is created or destroyed. It can be provided in several different ways. There are mainly 4 ways. The first is with the help of code snippets. So for capsule parts, we have introduced new code snippets. As you see in this screenshot, we have this create function body and the destroy function body. They are the two new properties for capsule parts. Next, other than this function bodies that we provide, we also have something called capsule factory. So this capsule factory property is local for the capsule parts. So we can use capsule factory respectively for each capsule part by providing this property in the C++ target artist tab, as you see in this next screenshot. We also have one more new properties introduced in our target configuration, which is this capsule factory, as you see in the last screenshot. So this is basically nothing just like a global capsule factory. So for those capsule parts for which we do not define any function bodies create or destroy, or they do not have any local capsule factory as in the properties of respective capsule parts, then we can use then the C++ code generation will take into account the global capsule factory, which is defined in the TC level. So we also have one more way of writing code snippets for capsule factory, which is this incarnate custom function. So this is the change related to our target RTS, and it is applicable for optional capsule parts. So we have this incarnate custom function where the parameters goes like this. We have the capsule part and the RT factory and the index. So in this case, we can write the code snippets inside the incarnate custom function, and destroy functionality will be provided by the delete operator, as you see in this code snippet here. RT actor ID. So we have this frame.incarnate custom functions where we pass the optional capsule part and the RT actor factory with the parameter of controller and the actor ref and the index, and we write the code snippet for the create function. So I will talk about the priority. Before that, I will just show the UI for the capsule part. So we have this top capsule, and inside this we have defined several capsule parts. As you see, part 1, part 2, up to part 6 we have. So the first 3 are the fixed and the next 3 are the optional ones. So coming to the first capsule part, it doesn't have any function bodies defined. So, but we see that in the UI, we have this new properties, destroy function, create function body, and the capsule factory. You can add code snippets in the code view as you see here. So coming to part 2, you see we have a create function body respectively for part 2, and also for part 4, if we see, it is optional capsule part with this create function body. Yeah, we also have, so there are for part 1, part 3 perhaps, and for part 5 and part 6, we do not have any function bodies defined or any local capsule factory respectively for this capsule parts. So for those cases, the code generation will look into the TC property. So if I go to the TCGS in the code generation tab, at last we have this capsule factory property defined globally in TC. So for those capsule parts which do not have either a local function, local factory or a create or destroy function body, it will take into account this capsule factory declared here in the TC. So this is how it goes. So coming to the priority in my slide. So as you see here, the capsule factory will first be used from the incarnate custom for optional capsule part. Then it checks whether the part has a create or a destroy code snippet. If not, it checks for the local capsule factory defined specifically for every capsule part that we have. If it doesn't have any local capsule factory, it then checks for the TC property, which acts like a global capsule factory. So to make this understand, let me take you to an example of generated code. So for this model custom capsule constructor 3, I already have the code generated. So I will just open the top.header and the top.cpp for this particular model. Yeah. So in the header file, as you see, we have the create function bodies for part 2 and part 4, and they have this inline declaration for the factories. I will also go to the .cpp file to show this. So coming a little down. Yes. Yeah, so we have the create code snippets written for part 2 and part 4, where part 2 is a fixed capsule part and part 4 is the optional one. So we have this inline capsule factory defined over here, and as you see in the next few lines, for part 1, it is using the global capsule factory, which is used as a TC property because it doesn't have its own create destroy function body or a local capsule factory property. And for part 2, you see it is using this inline declaration of this capsule factory. So part 2 has an inline capsule factory defined, and the same it is used in the capsule factory part 2. And for part 3 and the rest, it uses the global one that is defined in the TC level. So this is how the code generation works for different ways of declaring the capsule factory. I will also show the incarnate custom function examples. So I have this custom capsule constructor 4, and for this we also have the code generated. So if I open the top.cpp for these cases, I will just open the model as well. We have 3 capsule parts and all of them are optional. So optional capsule parts can use the incarnate custom function at the as a first priority actually. So you see the custom function incarnate custom for part 1 as well. So we pass the capsule part and the RT actor factory with the index and the 2 parameters, RT controller and RT actor rep. Same goes for other capsule factories like part 2 and here part 2 as well as part 3. So you can use the incarnate custom function also to create your own create function bodies with these code snippets. And this involved some changes in our target artist because we introduced this incarnate custom function as a part of target artist. So these were the more or less the implementations and the different parts of the custom capsule factory feature. Any questions or feedbacks?